Welcome to Stretching Around the House. These are a series of simple and effective stretches that we have combined that are suitable for all age groups and fitness levels. They're in sequences of about 5, 10, and 15 minutes, and we have designed them to be done in your bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and living room. But as you'll see in this video, a lot of these stretches can be interchangeable with any rooms, so please feel free to pick and choose the ones that work for you. The other great thing, no special equipment. It's just you and your home. So let's get started and come on in. Here we are in the bedroom, and I'm going to start by showing you a group of stretches that you can do before you even get out of bed in the morning, which personally I love. So after hitting snooze on your alarm for either the first or, if you're me, second time, I'm going to show you a few stretches that you can do to really begin to wake up your entire body. All you're going to need is a pillow, which I'm going to show you, and a sock, which we're going to use probably for a modification if you're a little bit tight through the hip area later on. And I really want to make sure that you just kind of scoot into the middle of the bed to allow plenty of room for these stretches. So I'm going to start by doing a stretch that's really going to warm up your lower back, hips, and then I'm going to move into your adductor, inner thigh, and hamstrings. So this first stretch, I'm going to bring my leg in, holding on just below my knee. And for those of you who have kind of a tighter back, you may want to bend your knee. But for me, I'm actually going to leave it lower down. So I'm going to be pulling my knee in. I'm going to do some little joint rotation, hip mobilization through here, just to kind of warm it up, because especially if you've been asleep for hopefully 6, 7, or 8 hours, just want to start warming up this hip joint. And then I'm slowly going to let it drop to the side. Now this is where the pillow I mentioned comes in. So if you're tight through here, you may want to just rest your leg on the pillow. You can press it down a little bit, kind of get a little bit deeper stretch through here. But for those of you who are a little bit more flexible and don't need the pillow, you can just let your leg drop gently down to the side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of pressure here because I really want to open up my inner thigh adductor. I'm keeping this hip kind of a little bit rotated out. And then I'm gently going to bring it in. I'm going to lift it over and get a really nice kind of twist through my entire spine. You can stretch your arm out to get a little bit more stretch through your whole spine. And I'm going to bring it back up, over and down. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. I'm going to bring my right leg in. Some really nice joint mobilization through here. Circles, the other side. Always like to keep things balanced. And then I'm going to gently let my leg drop to the side. I'm a little bit tighter here. You can see my leg's not going as far, but I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure here because I want a little bit more of a stretch through here. And I'm going to bring it up, all the way over. This is my tighter side. I'm going to stretch out. Really a nice deep stretch through here. And then always assist because I don't want any sharp movements. Going to bring it back up and then down. So that stretch is really just kind of started to warm my hips up. And now I'm actually going into what we kind of cheaply call Happy Baby Pilates V. So it's kind of Happy Baby V is what we call. And I'm going to bring my leg in. And this time I'm going to put my arm through. I'm holding on to the bottom of my foot. So wherever you find comfortable, either here, here, or here. And I understand that sometimes this angle is a little too sharp for some people. I don't want you to feel a pinching in here. So if you have to hold on lower, that's perfectly fine. But just really try and get your leg at a right angle through here. And this is also when, which I've hidden away, your sock can come in handy, because if you're not that flexible or you've got some issues going on, which I have a little bit right now, you can always use the sock. So basically what I'm going to do now is gently let my hip roll over. I'm moving this hip with me because what I want you to feel is this hamstring muscle really kind of stretching out in a relaxed position. So my hips are rotating, don't worry about that. My hips are rotating over. Really stretching out. And you'll feel it. It's really nice just to wake up these hamstrings and they're not really straining, they're just relaxed. And then I'm going to bring it back in. let go of my sock, up and down. And the same thing in these positions. If you have got a tight lower back, you may want to bend this knee. And this side for me is a little bit tighter, so I'm going to bend this knee. I'm going to bring my hand in and up, making sure that it's kind of dropping down. I'm going to use my sock. Give me a little bit more extension through here. I'm going to let my leg drop over. And as I rotate over, my hips are coming with me. And I'm getting a really nice straight leg hamstring stretch. I'm going to hang out here for a few minutes. I'm going to pull it back in, up, and then I'm dropping down. So right now I've really kind of opened up my lower body, hips, kind of getting into the hamstrings, and then I'm just going to do both legs, bilateral stretch. So I'm going to bring both hands in, holding my feet here, dropping them down, kind of rock a little bit, kind of feels good, it's kind of waking up that body. And then I'm going to stretch. I'm not using my socks right now, but this is as far as I can go, because you can see my legs shake, your legs may be shaking too. Obviously I need to stretch a little bit more. Then I'm going to bring them back in and down. That feels great. So these are a few stretches you can do in bed before you even get out. And now we're actually going to go and do another set of series where I'm actually sitting on the edge of the bed. So here we are at the edge of the bed. So we're going to continue our stretches, which are going to be focusing now more neck, shoulders, and moving into lower back and hips. So let's start with some really nice head rotations. So what you're going to do is simply gently look all the way over your right shoulder, and then all the way slowly to your left shoulder. And I'm going to repeat that motion, and you're going to find when you're doing these rotations that one side is always tighter than the other. For me, it tends to be my right side. It's probably the way I sleep. But just gently feel. So for here, I'm like, okay, this side's a little bit tighter. So I'm actually going to stay here just for a little bit, just kind of loosening up my neck. And then going to bring it back into the center. And now I'm going to do some head tilts. And it's really important when you do these head tilts that you really focus on your chin being over your sternum. Because if you go kind of off, you kind of lose the stretch. So you're really focusing on this, chin over sternum. So I'm going to tilt my head to the right, not letting my little shoulder come up to my ear, because all of our shoulders love to live up by our ears. And then we're going to come up. Then I'm going to tilt to the other side. And this is where you can see that my side's really tight. And then I'm going to come back up. I'm going to repeat that. And when you find one side that's tighter than the other, you really probably want to do a couple more stretches, which I tend to do just to kind of balance it out. So I'm actually going to, that feels good. And come back up. And then back down again. And really kind of release that. So as I said, it's really important to make sure this chin stays over the sternum. And now I'm going to do some neck rolls, which is not head rolls, neck rolls. So what these are focusing on is I'm going to do my head tilt first, chin over sternum. And then I'm really going to roll my head forward and then back up. And it's very different than doing rotations because you really are focusing more on these scalene muscles and trapezius when you're doing these ones. So tilted, rolling forward, and then to the side again. And chin back up, and then coming up to center. So now we're going to do the neck rolls. So I'm going to rotate over and do a really big sweeping motion down. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. Really big sweeping motion down. And you really feel that really gets into the trapezius and opens that up too. So now I'm going to move on into some shoulder rolls. And a lot of people will roll the shoulders forward. But the truth is, we're always forward, whether it's driving our car or at our desk. So I really want to focus on opening up the chest area. And a lot of our shoulders are always living up by our ears, so we really want to keep our shoulders down. So with this one, I'm actually going to exaggerate the movement. So I'm going to have my shoulders up first, and then as I'm rotating them backwards, really focusing on squeezing these scapulars together. And what I want you to feel is them coming in, and then I really want you to focus on imagine your right shoulder blade is fitting into your left back pocket, and then your left shoulder blade is fitting into your right back pocket. And there you'll kind of get seating your scaps, as we call it, as a really good position. So really squeezing my shoulder blades together, rotating them down. Really a nice big circular motion, squeezing those scapulars together. And one more time, just really feels good, really kind of opening up that body. As I said, once again, really focusing on the position of your scapulars, because then you get this really nice, perfect posture. Now I'm going to go on, and to do a nice side stretch, we're really going to focus on opening up through your whole body. So this is one of my favorite stretches, my little teapot stretch. So I'm going to scoot a little bit forward to the edge of the bed. And on this one, you're going to focus on your arm going straight up over, really elongating through your lats, through the serratus, which are the muscles that wrap around your rib cage here. So I'm pushing up, my palm up towards the ceiling. I'm reaching over. You can drop down on your forearm. Great stretch through here again. All the way over first, and then you want to reach through, really kind of stretching through that body, really opening up through here, and bring it back up and through. And then we're going to repeat on the other side, another little teapot handle here. My palm is going up and forward, really elongating through here. I really want you to feel a great stretch. So you're pushing up, forward, reaching over, and then stretching forward. You can come down on your elbow, you can get an even greater stretch through. Reset a little bit, and then come and swoop forward, and you really get a great upper body stretch. Then I'm going to bring it up, sweeping through and up and down. And you can repeat that, a couple of times on either side. But now we've woken up our upper body, so I'm going to do a little bit more on the lower. So I'm going to scoot a little bit further forward. So for those of you who are more comfortable being right here, that's fine. I'm going to put my forearms on my quads. If you just want to hang out here and get a nice kind of lower back stretch, which is great, but if you're comfortable, we can take it further forward onto the floor. So I'm going to put my hands between my feet, just staying here for a minute, rocking. My feet a little bit further apart. I'm going to do a seated version of a triangle pose. So I'm going to reach my arm up and forward, really reaching up to the ceiling. Hello, ceiling. I'm going to reach up here. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to walk my hands to the other side. And some of you may be familiar with this in yoga. It's a version of triangle pose, but I'm just using the bed, which is a lot of what this series is all about, is using the space you have in your home. I'm going to come back down. And for those of you who want to just gently roll up from this position, just slowly come back up and on your forearms. But I'm going to also show you an alternative version. So I'm going to come back down, and if those of you who are here, I'm going to scoot my feet a little bit further back, put my palms forward, and we call this our bottoms up toe touch. So I'm going to come off, making sure my weight's evenly distributed, and I'm going to be pushing my hips up. So I'm going to be pushing my hips up and forward to the ceiling, straightening out my hamstrings as I slowly roll up. One vertebrae at a time to a standing position. So now we're going to do one of my favorite series, which is actually the standing edge of the bed series. And we're going to start with a really great psoas stretch. And what you're going to do, the bed is a perfect height to do this. It's also nice and cushy too. So I'm going to put my leg up. I'm going to make sure I have a bend in my standing leg. And this leg is kind of positioned a little bit further back. I'm going to be on my forearms. And I'm going to be tucking my pelvis under, so get a great stretch through my psoas. So I'm gently going to be forearms straight, chest up. I'm slowly going to be bending this leg, really sinking deeply in, getting a great psoas stretch through here. If this feels a little too much for you, just come back out of it, tuck your pelvis, because this is a really deep stretch and you really are going to feel it immediately. So I'm going to have my arms straight. I'm going to slowly lower back down. And to get a deeper stretch, I'm actually going to turn into it. So really opening up that psoas. And then while I'm here, I can get a really nice little adductor stretch where I'm going to bring my knee forward a little bit. And then I'm going to be stretching out and down. And I get that this angle may be a lot for a lot of you. So for those who want a little bit more of a dynamic stretch, we can do this one here. I'm going to bring it back up, slide my leg back down, and then I'm going to be on the side. And this, if you can't do the other adductor stretch, this is a great one to do here too. It's just really opening this up area, getting a really nice stretch. And then while I'm in this position, I'm going to bring my foot forward to get a great hamstring stretch. So what is happening here, my chest is up, lifting forward, and it's really important in this hamstring stretch that you close the gap in this hip. A lot of people, when you kind of do a hamstring stretch, this hip will be wide open and you really kind of lose the stretch. And you can experiment a little bit. If you close your hips, rotate your hips forward, you'll immediately feel the stretch through here. So I'm going to be lifting up, my chest is forward. I'm going to slowly lower over. My hamstrings are tight today. You don't want to be scooping under. You want to be keeping your chest forward. You're just stretching further. Maybe a little further. And if those of you who are really flexible can go lower. And you can flex or point your foot. Kind of feel that in these hamstrings as you're going through. Moving a little bit further, but I'm always keeping my chest forward and my hips closed. It's one of the things I really want you to remember. And then as you're slowly coming back out, I'm going to rotate my leg to a really nice standing pigeon. So perfect position. As you can see, it's a really nice set to do right on the edge of your bed right here. This one I'm going to reach up, forward. Now, depending on how flexible you are, is going to depend on the angle of your leg, closer or further apart. For me, pretty comfortable about here, so I'm rotating my hips in. And for this one, you do want to collapse forward because you're really focusing on your piriformis muscle here. So I'm going to focus on pushing my hips back as I'm rounding over, feeling the stretch, really feeling the stretch through my IT band, piriformis, and glutes. For some of you, you can really come down lower, or even lower. That's about as far as I'm going to go. And I'm going to come back up. I'm going to reset for a minute. It feels so good. Bending over again, pushing my hips back, because pushing your hips back really gets the muscles we're really trying to target here. And then we're going to come back up, put my foot down, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. So now we're going to do the other leg. You have to keep yourself balanced. So same psoas stretch. Putting your leg up on your mattress. Scooting this leg forward a little bit. And you can really, for those of you who want to feel a little bit more stable and secure, kind of scoot your leg in a little bit more so you're using it for support. I'm going to have my arms straight. And I'm slowly lowering. Feeling that great stretch in my psoas. Coming back out for those of you who are a little bit tighter. Coming back down. Really making sure that I'm staying up and forward. And then I'm turning away. If I want to get a little bit more of a stretch in. Maybe a little bit more of a stretch in, because I'm tight on this side. Then we're going to come back up. I'm going to sneak and get a little bit of a adductor stretch in here. So I'm going to be putting my leg out on the bed, feeling the stretch through here. Leaning to the side. And for those of you, I understand this is a little bit more of a dynamic range for some. So in which case, you can simply straighten your leg, tilt your pelvis under, and you can get a great adductor stretch through here. Now I'm going to swing my leg through into a hamstring stretch. So once again, really make sure that you rotate your hips through, getting that stretch in through here, feeling it in these hamstrings. We have 3 hamstring muscles going on, so really want to address all of them. Chest up. This time I'm going to flex my feet, chest up and forward, slowly leaning forward. Going to come back out, chest up and lifted. Really feel those hamstring muscles right here. And then back up. And I'm going to turn into my really nice standing pigeon stretch. Angle bent, booty back, leaning forward, pushing my hips back, really pushing them back. I'm tight through here. Gonna lean forward. And once again, just keep in mind the angle of which this leg's going to be further away or closer together, depending on how flexible you are, how tight you are through the hips. Lean forward one more time, pushing my hips back, really draping over that leg. And for the standing pigeon, I want you to drape forward. Then come back up, shoot my leg out, and there. We've woken up the entire body before you've even got out of your bedroom. Here we are at the bathroom, and there's a great set of shoulder stretches you can do before you even step foot inside. And these stretches are called the W, L, and Y stretches. And in fact, you can do them in any doorway, but I happen to like doing them in the bathroom. So the W, L, and Y denote your arm positions on the side of the door frame. So let me show you. So first, I'm going to start with a W. So my arms are in a W position. And what I like to do is step 1 foot through the door. This time I'm going to do my left foot. I'm going to gently lean through, getting a really nice stretch through my shoulders, upper pec area. I'm going to come back out. I'm going to switch my arm positions into the L position. Put my other foot through, keeping things balanced. I'm going to do the L stretches. You have to be careful here because sometimes, like mine, my shoulders really want to kind of sneak up. So try and make sure they stay down. Come back through. The shoulder is tight, so I'm going to lean through, kind of dropping my arm position. I'm stretching the shoulder out. I'm going to come back up. And the final stretch in the doorway is the Y. My feet are together. I'm going to gently lean through. I'm going to lean through, put my arms in the Y position. I love this stretch. Really kind of gets a whole of my upper body. And then I'm going to be up. Now I'm going to do some stretches actually in the bathroom. Or while you're in the bathroom and you're waiting for your shower to warm up, we can grab some stretches at the counter here. And this is also acting as your ballet bar like it does in the kitchen. So we're going to start by doing a standing downward dog. You're going to place your hands on the counter, really just kind of stretch back, feet about shoulder width apart, and really be pushing your hips back, really great extension through the spine. Kind of sink through a little bit. And then you're going to come back up for a minute. And you're going to go back into that standing downward dog. Getting a really good full body stretch. Paddle your legs a little bit. And then we're going to come back up. And when we're at the counter, we're now going to do a calf stretch. So we're going to have my front left leg bent and my back leg really pushing down into that calf muscle. And then we're going to switch legs. Kind of rotate through the hips a little bit, pushing back through, getting a great stretch. My left calf muscle. Then we're going to come back up, rotate round, using the counter to hold on. We're going to do a quad hip flexor stretch. So focusing on your hips being level, knees, trying to get them in alignment, holding your foot and really stretching. Great quad stretch, hip flexor stretch, pushing back through. And then we're going to rotate and do the other side. Grabbing this foot with this hand. Really trying to keep those hips level, reaching up through, stretching all the way back. And then back down. And this is a great time when you're brushing your teeth to get a quick hamstring and pigeon stretch in. So Surgeon General, I think, recommends that you brush your teeth for about 2 to 3 minutes. So while we're here, let's get a hamstring stretch in. So first of all, I'm gonna put my leg up on the counter. And if this counter is too high for you, maybe you have a lower counter or even a stool in your bathroom, or you can even use the edge of your bathtub, but I'm gonna use the counter. So I'm gonna keep my chest up, rotating my hips in. It's really important to remember to rotate this hip in so you're getting the stretch at the hamstring attachment site. Chest up and forward. And I'm going to slowly drape forward, but I really want you to focus on keeping your chest up and forward because this is really how you get a really great stretch in this hamstring. And then we're going to come back out. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Flexing my foot a little bit more because I want a little bit of a deeper stretch through here. And then back out. And I'm just going to rotate my foot to get a really nice pigeon stretch at the counter. And depending on flexibility, depends on the angle that you have. And on this one, you really want to be focusing on pushing your hips out and pushing them back. Should be still brushing my teeth at this point. I'm going to switch legs. Always like to keep things balanced. And if you find one side is tighter than the other, just do the stretches on the tighter side a couple more times. So I'm reaching up, rotating my hips in, chest up and forward. And you'll see one side is always tighter than the other. I'm going to rotate my leg forward more. Deeper stretch through here. I'm going to come back up. And now, my nice pigeon stretch. I'm going to put my angle a little bit closer for this one. Pushing my hips out and back. And really kind of draping forward. I'm going to slowly come back out of that stretch. Repeat it one more time. And really, it's really important to remember to push your hips back. So you're feeling the stretch in your glutes. Psoas in particular. Come back up and down. Hopefully you finished brushing your teeth by now. And now we're going to head to a very special place. Most of us will end up here at least once, twice, or maybe 3 times a day. And if you're not, maybe you need to see your doctor about that. But we're going to be in here. So while you're in here, instead of, which most of us do, is bring our electronic device in, and we're always texting, our heads forward. We're creating that nasty little forward head thrust. How about we set it down and we do some nice neck stretches that will really help combat the forward head thrust that we always seem to have. So we're going to start by doing some head tilts. So I'm going to keep my chin over my sternum, and if you didn't get to do them in the bedroom, now's a great time to do them. So keeping my chin over your sternum, your chest bone right here. You're going to tilt your head to the right, dropping your ear to your shoulder, not bringing your shoulder to your ear. I'm going to bring it back up. I'm going to drop it to the left side. You can see the side is tighter for me doing this on the right. And bring it back up. Really making sure you're keeping your chin over your sternum. And drop that another side. Do my right again. Going to bring it back up. And then my left. Really trying to make sure you keep your shoulder down. And bring it back up. And now we're going to do some of those nice neck rolls. So I'm going to tilt my head down. Really roll it through. Tilting on the side. And then really rolling through again. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Do a really big swoop this time. Really kind of opening up that chest and neck. And then we're going to bring it back up. Stretch out my shoulder a little bit. And we're good. Who knew you can multitask on the toilet? So for those of you who have a really hard time touching your toes, this is a great one for you. Now, if you have a shower or tub combo at home, that's a perfect place. For this particular stretch, I'm going to show you in my tub, which is a standalone tub. So what you're going to do is slowly bend your knees, grab hold of your tub on either side, kind of just adjust a little bit. And then what you want to do while you're here is to slowly try and straighten your hamstrings. Now, it may be a little bit tight. Then what you're going to want to do is readjust a little bit more so your legs are bent, and slowly straighten them while you're hanging on. And once you've done that, once you feel comfortable, you can let go with one hand and kind of slowly lower. If you're really comfortable, you can do both. And this way, you just want to slowly roll down and touch your toes. But if this is a little much, just use this for stability and support. And if you can, go all the way down. And what's kind of nice that you can do this in your shower tub combo, you can actually have the water coming down on your back, which really kind of releases them as well. And you just kind of paddle your feet a little bit too, just to kind of loosen them up. And you can slowly come up. And this is a great one that you can do in your bathtub or shower combo, and really kind of gets those hamstrings warmed up for the beginning of your day. In the shower, it's a great time to kind of multitask. So while you're washing your hair, first thing in the morning, in the evening, it's a great time to use the hot water to really kind of relax your body and get some stretches in. So first of all, I'm going to do a standing downward dog. So I'm going to use my shower wall. I'm going to put my hands either side. And I'm just going to gently push my hips back and dropping through, getting a nice upper body stretch. I'm going to come back up. And this is a nice standing downward dog. So I'm putting my hands either side of the wall, kind of stretching through, getting my shoulders opening up. And if you can imagine, the shower is actually on, so the hot water is actually going down my back. It's really a nice stretch to do here. And then you can drop down to your forearms and get even a deeper stretch through here. You can even go a little bit lower, pushing your hips further back. And then you can come back up. And I really like to use this space to actually do some really nice hand bridge stretches. So I'm going to use the wall. I'm going to walk my hands around and then around. And you can lean back a little bit, getting a really nice stretch through here, flexors and extensors in your forearms. But be careful, because if the wall's slippy, you just want to make sure you're secure here. And if you're not comfortable with your hands on the wall, you can always pull back a little bit and use one hand to really stretch the forearm out. And I really like this one because the hot water, I get really tight here. We're typing, we're texting. So you're going to stretch one hand, and then we're going to go over and stretch the other. And then we can do flexors and extensors. You can shake them out, and then you can continue shampooing your hair. Now here we are in the kitchen, which is one of my favorite places to sneak in a few stretches, whether it's while you're waiting for your coffee, or in my case being a Brit, tea to brew. So I'm gonna put my kettle on. I'm gonna start at the counter. So here we are at the counter, which is a great place that you can use to just kind of stay by yourself if you're not too sure. But for me, I'm gonna stand in this position, standing up, really kind of focusing on your posture, and we're going to get into these neck stretches. So we're going to simply drop our right ear to our right shoulder, but we really want to focus on keeping our chin over our chest. Otherwise, you're really not going to get the benefit of the shoulder. So I'm going to gently drop my right ear to my right shoulder, feeling the stretch on the left side. I'm going to bring it back up, keeping in mind chin over chest, and then my left ear to my right, to my left shoulder, my other left shoulder. And we're going to bring it back up. And you'll see one side is a little bit tighter, so I'm going to do a little bit more of an assisted stretch. So I'm going to drop my right ear to my right shoulder, and then I'm going to reach my hand up and just give it a nice kind of gentle pressure here. You don't want anything to like spasm or hold it too long, but you're going to bring it back up. And then we're going to do the same on the other side, tilting my neck to my left shoulder, ear to my left shoulder. A little bit more of an assisted stretch here. And then we're going to bring it back up. And now we're going to go into a tricep stretch. And for this, I'm pretty flexible in this area. So what we're going to do here is you're going to reach your hand behind your shoulders. So I'm going to put my arm up. I'm going to clasp my hand, in which you can actually see. Here, I'm really kind of reaching through, but I understand a lot of people are not that flexible. So what you can do is get a handy dandy tea towel that I happen to have right here. So I'm going to put my tea towel over my shoulder and use this to assist this stretch. And this one really kind of opens up your chest muscles. It's really opening this tricep up that's particularly tight on me. Deep breath in and out, and then I'm going to come back down. And now you're going to meet me at the counter. My kettle's brewing, my tea's not ready yet, so I'm going to do a few more counter stretches. So you're going to meet me right at the counter, and your counter, you have one in your kitchen, hopefully you have one in the bathroom, and they really are these are your ballet bars. So you really think you can't stretch at home, but you have these bars. You have these counters, they act as a ballet bar. So I'm going to do standing downward dog for those of you that are familiar with yoga. I'm going to place my hands a little bit shoulder width apart. I'm going to scoot back, and here you really want to be focusing on pushing your hips and shoulder back. So I'm getting a great stretch in my upper body. And really kind of hanging my head down and through, getting a stretch through my shoulders, lats, trapezius. And then I'm going to come up into what we kind of call, kind of cheat it, kind of a standing cobra. So we're going to really kind of sink my hips through, getting a great stretch, lower back. I'm going to come back up, deep breath in, exhale as I'm coming down. And really focusing on pushing these hips back. You really want to lengthen through the body here. And sometimes you can paddle your little feet a little bit, kind of working those hamstrings, my calves in particular. And then I'm going to come back up. So now we're going to do some nice hip circles. And for those of you that remember your youth, kind of imagine using a hula hoop, which is what I can certainly remember. So I'm just going to take a step back. My arms are on the counter, and I'm just going to do some really big circles. So I'm going to start by pushing my hips back and then really pushing them out to the side, really kind of dropping through, almost like a cobra position, and pushing to the right side. Nice big circle back around to the left, bringing back in, really kind of dropping through, just holding here for a minute, pushing back out and around, all the way through, really getting a nice kind of stretch. And then we're going to go to the other side, pushing the hips back through again. Deep circles round, keeping your arms kind of straight on the counter, using them for support. Back and around. And then nice stretch back out and coming up into a standing position. So we've just warmed up our hips and lower body, and with that great hula hooping action. So now we're actually going to be doing some calf and quad stretches, going a little bit deeper. We're at the counter again, so you're going to put your left foot forward, knee bent, and just get a really nice stretch through your calf muscle. Kitchen's a great place to do this, and also if you've seen our bathroom stretches, bathroom's a great place to do this too. Really kind of pushing back down through my heel, a nice bend in the knee, using the counter as support. I'm going to come through and rotate and switch on the other side. My right leg is now bent, my left calf is tighter, so I'm going to push my left calf back a little bit further, getting a great stretch through here. Holding that a little bit deeper. And with these stretches, you just want to be breathing normally. There's no deep breaths here or holding this. So now I'm going to rotate round, holding onto the counter. I'm going to do a great quad stretch. So I'm going to come up on my left leg, using the counter for balance. But the main focus here is to be tilting your pelvis and trying to get your legs parallel. And you really want to focus on tilting your pelvis under, so you get a great stretch in your quad and hip flexor. And pulling your leg back, and you're going to get a great stretch in this hip flexor right here. Pull it back further, maybe a little further. We'll see. Just kind of keeping your knees together. And we're going to drop this one back down. And do the other side. Same thing here, holding onto my foot. So depending on where you're comfortable, I'm going to tilt my pelvis through, and the minute you'll feel it, the minute you kind of tuck your pelvis under, you get a much better stretch in your hip. Holding on the top of my foot, tilting my pelvis under again, stretching my quad back, but you can still get a good deep stretch. And bring it back down and release. So now, done some upper body, done some lower body, and then we're going to do a couple more stretches in the kitchen. So the last stretches I'm going to do in the kitchen are for my hamstrings, and kind of a sneaky one in here. We're going to get our piriformis, kind of quads in a little bit more, and I'm going to use this counter. So I'm going to put my foot up, I'm going to get a great hamstring stretch. Now ignore the little crunchy in my knees, I've got a little bit of crepitus in there, so you'll hear it at my age. So what I'm going to do is let my foot, first of all, kind of drop out, because I don't want to really worry about getting this stretch first. But my main focus is rotating my hips in, because you get a different stretch. If I open up, you get a different type of stretch. I'm going to rotate my hips forward, and then I'm going to slowly, as you can see, bring my foot up. I'm already getting a great hamstring stretch here, but what I really want you to focus on is lifting your chest up and then forward. And I'm not very flexible today, but what I'm doing is leaning forward, getting a deep stretch through here, even further through. But the idea is you want your chest up and forward. If you collapse in, the minute you collapse in, you lose this stretch through here. So really focus on being up and leaning forward. And it's a great hamstring stretch. And I'm going to take this leg down. I'm going to stretch out the other one. So up on the counter again. Who knew that your kitchen counter is a great stretching bar? I'm going to rotate my hips forward. Once again, closing this gap is really important. And you'll feel it. Try it for yourself. If you open your hip up and you rotate it back, you'll get already feeling the stretch in my hamstring. So my foot's flexed. I'm leaning forward, chest up. Now, if this is too much with your foot flexed, you can always point it. But for me, I want that deep hamstring stretch. So I'm really focusing on these 3 hamstring muscles here. So I'm lifting my chest up and leaning forward. I don't want you to collapse at all. The minute you collapse, you lose the stretch here. So up and then forward. And I'm going to bring that back down. And now I'm going to do a standing pigeon, which is a little bit deeper stretch. I'm going to get through my hip flexors here. So I'm going to let my leg kind of flop out. You can see there's an angle here, and then depending on how flexible you are, you're either going to have your leg closer to you or further away, and you'll feel it immediately in your piriformis. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit for me. I'm reaching up first, but then I am going to collapse forward, because here I'm really focusing on pushing my hips back and out, because I want to feel it all through my glutes, piriformis, and even my IT band, which we all love. So I'm draping forward this time, pushing my hips back. And we'll come back up, drop my leg. I'm going to repeat on the other side. And I understand a lot of people, I'm showing you on a high counter. You can always get a stool or a kitchen chair. I'm pretty flexible through here. So once again, my angle is here. I'm pushing my hips back, draping forward, really pushing those hips back and getting a really great piriformis stretch. Hanging out here for a minute because it feels really good. Going to be up and then lower my foot back down. And this is just a series of sequences that you can do in your kitchen while you're waiting for the coffee to brew. I actually didn't put a bagel on, so now I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to do that now. But a great kitchen series. When you find yourself in the living room, there's a bunch of stretches you can do before you either settle in to watch TV or simply relax on the couch. But before we get there, I'm going to show you some great stretches at the coffee table. So we're going to start with some great wrist stretches. So we're going to place our palms firmly on the coffee table. We're going to actually lift up and kind of lean in. So you're really kind of rotating, as you can see what I'm doing, through these knuckles, getting a great wrist and forearm stretch through here. I'm going to do the same on the other side, lifting up. Great wrist stretch through here. We're going to rotate all our hands through and then bring them back down. And then we're going to start by different positions, really kind of using your hip flexors and extensors. And we're going to stretch back. I'm going to face them forward, kind of lean in, getting a good forearm stretch. I'm going to lean them out to the side. And our wrists get really tight. It's like we're on our computer, we're texting, so it's a great one to, at the end of the day, to really kind of stretch these wrists out. And then, if you're super flexible, we're going to spin all the way around and really get a really good stretch through the forearms, flexors and extensors. And then we're going to shake those out. And then we're going to join me on the couch. So before we actually sit on the sofa, we're going to get a quick psoas stretch in here. So what we're going to do, front leg forward, my left leg is on the couch. I'm slowly going to lower my body, bending the knee, feeling a stretch in my psoas. So I'm using my forearms as support. I'm going to be reaching up and forward, and as I slowly lower, you'll feel the stretch in your psoas. It's a really deep stretch, so just be careful how far you go. I'm pretty flexible through here, but some of you may be up here, and that's fine too. What I really want you to do is just feel that stretch in the front leg. And sometimes you actually may feel it tugging in your lower back because your psoas actually attaches on your lower lumbar vertebrae. So I'm going to breathe in, breathe out, lower a little bit more. If I wanted a little bit more of a stretch in my psoas, I'm going to be rotating away into it. That way I'm feeling it a little bit deeper. Then I'm going to come back up and out, sitting back on my resting leg to get a good little hamstring stretch here. I like kind of adding another stretch when you're in the middle of transitioning from one to the other. So I'm going to come back up and forward. A little bit deeper stretch this time. I'm going to adjust my leg position so I can really feel the stretch in the psoas. And then back down. I'm going to lift up, and to keep us even, I'm going to rotate and do it on the other side. So I'm going to switch. Front leg bending forward, scooching it a little bit further forward. Forearms, I'm lifting up, lowering in, getting this deep stretch in my psoas. And as I said before, this is a pretty deep stretch. So for some people, you may just be up here. And for some, just this is enough. But I really want you to feel it through here. I'm going to lower back down. And then we're going to come back up, pivot, get a really nice hamstring stretch through here. And now we're ready to actually sit on the sofa. How nice is that? So we're settling down, nice position. I'm going to do a tricep stretch here, which is literally putting my arm up and over. Taking a deep breath in, lifting my chest up, and then back down. And then on the other side, up, and then back down. I'm going to shake that out, and then I'm going to do some side stretches, which is, I kind of like these ones because these are like a teapot stretch, and being a Brit, I always like a good teapot expression. So we're going to have arm to the side, lifting my forearm and arms up, overhead, really reaching through. And I really want you to feel the stretch through the rib cage, stretching all the way through. Then lift up. Kind of keeping my arm back a little bit because I want to create some space through here. I'm going to reach all the way over, keep reaching over, and then what's nice about the sofa, you can actually come down, reach through, and then really reach and stretch through the lower body. And I'm going to bring it slowly back up and over. My other little teapot handle, going to pushing my palm up, really reaching for the ceiling, coming back down, making sure you keep it open and up, and then I'm going to reach forward to get a really great stretch through. And you'll feel it all through your rib cage. We're going to slowly come back up, down, take a deep breath in. I'm going to scooch to the edge of the sofa, and then just do a really nice kind of forward fold. Because this is where I'm really aiming for, is to actually sit down. Then I'm just going to scooch down. And a lot of you have probably seen these stretches before. These are simple leg stretches. I'm going to flex my little feet forward, moving through, coming back up, taking a deep breath, and then exhaling, stretching through. And then I'm going to do kind of an adaptive hurdle stretch where my leg is at a right angle right here. I'm going to lean through, feeling a nice stretch all through my glutes. I'm going to come back up, I'm going to rotate sides. And you can hang out here for as long as you want. Sometimes I like to put my elbow here, give it a little bit more of a stretch. Come back through. And come up. Then I'm going to scoot forward a little bit because I'm going to do one of the static hurdlers twist this way. Rotating all the way through, get a nice spinal twist. And then slowly rotate out from it. Put my leg down, bring it back up, rotate through, and come back. Both legs forward, and bring it into a butterfly stretch. Clasping, and some of you, maybe here, maybe here. I'm gonna rock a little bit. I like getting a little bit of movement in stretches. I'm gonna clasp my hands and lean forward. And I often will use my forearms just to kind of get that stretch out a little bit more. And then I'm gonna bring it up and then back down. And those are simple series you can do when the TV's on, when you're about to sit down, read a book. Just a great way to get a few stretches in those kind of quiet times of the day. This concludes our Stretching Around the House series. I know you'll find these stretches beneficial, and now that I've shown you how easily they fit into your daily routines, I hope you do them on a regular basis and they become a habit. Because if there's one thing we've learned over the past few years, it's really important now more than ever to take care of our bodies. Thanks for watching.